Hi, welcome back to Game Room Crafts. I'm Kelly. This is my game room. Let's play. Today we're going to make a mushroom. Well, this is what our finished product will look like. Something similar to this. Anyway, we've decided we're going to make a video game mushroom. So I've done this before. And problem with it is that whatever color I paint on the outside of my mushroom gets on my little negative space spots. These mushrooms, the mold itself, comes with these little circles. And I like those circles to be white, especially if I'm doing the famed video game mushroom. And I'm not saying the name of the game, but y'all know the name of the game. So what I've decided to do is when you brush a mold with mica powder, chameleon flakes, or whatever it is you're using, whatever color hits your mold first, that's the color you're going to see when you pour your medium, whatever it is, if it's resin or if it's Mix2Mold, which I haven't quite decided which I'm going to do yet. I know the kid is saying that we should do it in Mix2Mold, but we'll see. Anyway, I've decided, well, if that being the case, because if I do this whole cap in red and then I have to clean up the spots, it's difficult. And it's a vicious circle because it's clean, repatch, clean, repatch, clean. So this time I've decided, well, I'm going to go ahead and paint my circles first. Well, they're not circles, they're egg shapes, I guess. I'm going to paint those first, then do the little bit of cleanup that is required around them. And then I'll go in and I will dust everything red after the fact. So for my spots, I'm going to use the iridescent color from Reflections, which I pick up at Michael's. They did have a pearl also. I don't know. I just decided to try to use the iridescent. This is the Pearl Sparkle. And I don't know. In fact, let me take a look at it and see side by side. Oh, the Pearl Sparkle is pretty. Maybe I shall switch up. That I don't know. Actually, the two of them together are really pretty. So there's the Pearl Sparkle, and there is the iridescent. There's the iridescent with the Pearl Sparkle, which I don't know if it would actually show anyway, because like I said, whatever hits the silicone first, that's the color you're going to see. And actually, when I burnish it in, you really can't tell. Oh, I'm having a crisis. Let's ask the kid. Kid, can you come here for a second?
A little while later.
Goodbye. Okay, after much deliberation with the kid, we have decided that iridescent is going to be the way to go because we're looking for more of that white color than the sparkle color. So, iridescent it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a baby wipe. And I'm going to wipe off those two that I did in the pearl. You see how easy it is to clean it when you don't have all the other colors you have to worry about? And I clean around the outside of our newly painted oval. And I get me a little Q-tip and go around the outside. And now that's ready for me to put my red on. On to the next. Sometimes I can't decide what to do. Since I can't hear you, having the kid here to give me their opinion works out quite well for me. Okay. Of course, I always like to hear your opinion, so if you want to drop a comment, we will read them. Man, they were not kidding. That really is iridescent. Okay. I like that. I really, really do. Now, I take that baby wipe and I go around my finger. Use my fingernail to get as close to that spot without going in it, because I don't want to take off stuff that's inside. Just the stuff that doesn't belong on the outside. And I move my finger every once in a while so I get a clean spot on the baby wipe. This is fairly easy because it's a big space between each oval. But if you got something that's more detailed, that's closer together, you might want to use a micro brush. Just spray a little alcohol down on your mat and then dip your micro brush in there. And then you can get off what doesn't belong. And hopefully, that's it. Okay, so I think I got it. And if I don't and it's not perfect, that's okay. What in life is perfect? Okay, so these two are done. Now we go to the rest of my mushroom cap. If you can't tell, my mushroom cap is slightly purple because the last time I cast it in a dark blue. I was using Mix2Mold. It did not come out dark blue. It came out more on the lighter blue, almost lavender side, because Mix2Mold is very white and it will change whatever you're doing down to a pastel-y color. So I'm using this red. I cannot tell you the brand name. It came with something we bought. I'm not sure what it was we bought, whether it was a mold or a resin set. I don't know. It was something. I've had this for well over a year. So I decided to use it up. I tried to look up the symbols, but Google search has failed me. So I'm going to use it because I'm running low on my Rosiform red. And fluffy brush. And in this case, I don't care if it goes on my circles because I already touched it with my iridescent. So therefore, what I see is going to be that color. I can already tell you this is not as red as I would like it to be, because you know what that video game mushroom looks like. It is truly red, but I have a hard time finding a good red pigment. If anybody out there has a suggestion for me, please drop it in the comments below. I would love to find a truly red, not orange red, not brownish red. I don't want it to be pink. I want it red. I want it deep, beautiful red. And to me, this doesn't look red. To me, this looks more orangey. I'm going to burnish that in as well as I can. I can tell you now because I can already see it. It's going to be very light. If we use Mix2Mold, it's going to be very light. I tell you, I almost decided to use acrylic ink on this. And then the kid reminded me that it may not turn out the way I want it to if I do that. Plus, it would restain our mold. And our mold is already stained purple, so yeah. Okay. This is why I don't like zip bags. You see all that powder gets stuck inside the zip, and sometimes it just doesn't close good. You got to make sure you hear those snaps. Okay, the problem with painting the mold the way that I just did is when you turn it back, you could lose some of the color because of fingerprints. I have noted that if you burnish it in the way that I just did, and you're using gloves, you are less likely to get prints that come off. You just take your brush and go back around and make sure there's no loose powder, no brush hairs, and she's ready to go. So now decisions have to be made. Will we use Mix2Mold? Will we do resin? I'm gonna mix up whatever it is, and you'll find out in just a second. See you soon. Okay, and we're back. And after much deliberation, we have decided we're going to use Mix2Mold for our mushroom. Wow, I've made these before. We've turned them into candles. We've used them as trinket boxes. In this particular case, I'm not sure what we'll end up using it for, except that it's really cute. We may or may not turn it into a candle. I don't know. I was doing that for quite a while, and then I decided to kind of step away from candles, and we were doing wax melts. Okay, so I'm using the same red powder that I brushed into our mold, and I'm going to mix it into my dry Mix2Mold. And I'm going to hope I'll get a vibrant color. With Mix2Mold, it's not easy. You end up with pastels. That's not really what I want in this case. I'm going to mix up my powder well with the mica. FYI, there are dry powders that you can mix in that will work way better than straight up mica powder. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to use it. They're cement colorants. They're colorants meant for cement or, ceramics. And really, basically, what you end up here with is a, quote, ceramic resin. Okay, so what I needed was 120 for this base. I think I just dropped some powder into my base, which I'll rectify by rebrushing. Okay. So what we need to do here, what I did have was some red dyed water that we used to make a different Mix2Mold project. And we're going to attempt to get this 120 ml of Mix2Mold as red as we possibly can. I don't want it pink. I don't want it orange. But, I mean, we're limited to what color the mica powder gave us. And unfortunately, this mica powder just, to me, it seems a little on the orangey side. But we're going to give it a shot. Okay, I'm not even going to bother using my nozzle. I think this amount of water will do well for this amount of Mix2Mold. And all we did to make that water red was we mixed it with mica powder, I believe. I could be wrong. It's been a while. I made it several months ago for a different project and we never finished it. I mean, we did finish it, but we never finished off using the water. Scraping the sides, scraping the bottoms, working that lumps and clumps out. You can already tell That's not red. That's pink. I spilled water everywhere. I might have made that a little too thin. I'm not super sure at this point. I have some colorant. Okay, so this is as close as we're going to get it with what we have. This is 120 milliliters, probably a little bit more. I don't know. We'll see. Pour it in. I tried to get all the bubbles out. I'm going to get it as close to the top as possible. Oh, I was hoping that I would get it. The thing is, this one, you have to pour it all the way up because it has a lip that fills into the base of your mushroom. So I am going to mix up a little more Mix2Mold. I'm not sure how I'm going to match this color because that's the problem. That is the only thing I don't like about Mix2Mold. Matching the colors, if you don't get it just right on the first pour, is difficult. This is a different red mica. This is the one from Roisafar. Roisafar. You see how much I have to use to get any kind of color in there. And if you are using the cement colorant, that's not the case. You don't have to use as much. Yeah, I put way too much water on that. And now starts the vicious circle. More mix to get the right consistency. Make sure you scrape those sides and bottom. I am sorry. I like to work closer to my body. So sometimes I'm thinking I'm in frame and I am not in frame. I apologize. I'm working on it. I'm trying to be more cognizant of what I'm doing. Just sometimes, especially if I'm hand mixing or if I'm trying to get a mold to let go of my cured resin project, sometimes you just got to use your body for leverage. Okay, I think this is as close as we're going to get. You can tell it's lighter. Trying to mix it together so it doesn't look so bad. So the separation is not as obvious. All right, and that's it for that. But now we have all this leftover Mix2Mold. What are we gonna pour it in? Bunny. Bunny, bunny, bunny. Because I can always use it for my phone stands. Yeah, he is not full. I don't know that I want to mix more. Yeah, unfortunately, that bunny is going to be two-toned, but oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so I'm going to pause while I mix up the Mix2Mold from my base, and I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. And I got my bunny sitting and my mushroom top. It's already starting to form up. It's much firm. So actually, by the time I put you on a pause, I'm going to move them over to my food dehydrator. It's a repurposed food dehydrator, which I use as my curing box, and it works very well for what I want it to do. Okay, so this was about 110 ml of powder. I'm going to start the mixing all over again. I like to make a well and try to drop the water right in there and see what we get. I actually like it to get into that little paste so it's not puffing flour at me or powder at me, sorry. And then I add more water from there. And usually I put this in a smaller cup so it's easier to control the flow, but my brain is not braining today. Okay, so again, scraping the sides and bottom, looking for that pancake batter consistency. This is a little thick for me, so I'm going to add just a tad bit more water. And I mean a tad. You go over and you're going to start having to do that. Add more powder, add more water, add more powder. Vicious circle, which even that was quite a bit. And you saw there was a very little bit of water. And speaking of water, Mr. Pepsi just hit his water bowl. So hang on a second. Let me take care of that. Got him set. He's drinking away. Pepsi is the funniest dog. He has an automatic waterer. However, he won't leave a room to go get water. He'll sit there. And if I'm in this room for hours, he will sit here that same amount of time and wait to get his water. And even then, he doesn't prefer it to come out of the automatic water. He wants me to pour it into a little bowl so he can have it. It's not fresh water, been sitting in a bottle waiting to be poured. He doesn't care. He wants us to cater to him, which is fine. because he caters to us. He gives so much to us. He hasn't been certified, but I'm telling you, that dog has all the earmarks of an emotional support animal. Okay, here we go. And we go, I'm going to go right in the center and hope that it goes down all the sides. And I'm going to stop right there. There's a line on this mushroom, on the mold. It's about halfway up. So if I fill to there and I grab it, see that bubble came up? There's a bubble came up right on the side. Go around the bottom and give it a squish. And hopefully any bubbles that are in there will surface and pop on their own. Okay, and then I'll go to fill up the rest. And I did it again. I'm a little short. And the thing is, I measured this. I did. But you're measuring a dry powder and then adding water to it. So although it looked like I had more than enough, once I add the water to it and it goes down, I actually end up short. Which is fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. This is just white, so I don't have to match a color. But I will tell you this. If you wait too long to fill it, you will end up with a separation line. Yeah, that's a bit thin. Again, here we go. Hi, welcome to my vicious cycle world. Get those lumps out. Smash them against the side of the cup and then scrape and then mix it in. That's the best way. Okay, I mean, even that's a bit thin for my liking, but I'm going to call it good because I don't want to use up any more powder than necessary, because I can tell you right now, because of the amount of water I put in here, it's already going to be too much. I'm going to have leftover. What I'll do with it, I have no idea, because it's not a lot. I might just stick it on my mosaic tile mold and make some scraps. All right, so that's full. I'm going to figure out something to do with this leftovers, and I will see you on demold. Okay, so we'll see you soon. Bye. And we're back, and these are solid. They're still hot because I had them in my curing box. I'm going to start with the extras. This was my two-tone teddy bear. He's actually a candle mold, so he's quite soft. Okay. That's actually better. That came out better than I thought it would. His head is both pink and purple, which is weird because the shirt is pink and purple. I kind of like it, but I can feel that it's still moist, because as long as they stay in the mold, you're going to retain some moisture. And we need to get rid of that. So once we demold all of these, I like to put them back in my dehydrator. Like half hour at the most, depending on how many pieces I put in at the same time or how big they are. Okay. Well, let's do this. Easy cleanup beforehand. Baby wipe it off, ready to go. And there's my little mouse friend. Probably put a sticker on there and then seal it. This needs to be cleaned up just a little bit, the edge. Okay, bunny pal. Did we get a bubble? Wow, we did not get a bubble on her tail. Tiny bubble there on the lip. Ooh, she's still hot. There we go. Back. And there's our bunny pal. No bubbles in the ears. No bubbles on the tail. A couple little micro bubbles right there on the back. And like I said, on the lip. And then I have to trim up the feet area. Not quite sure what we're going to do with her yet. I know that I will do her eyes and her nose. But before I do that, she's going back in the carrying box to get rid of all that excess moisture. All right. We'll do the base first. Come on. Once we get it rolling, usually it's fairly easy to get out. There we go. Turn those molds back the right way, like immediately. So there's our bowl. Nice. There's no bubbles. Usually I get a few micro bubbles around the bottom. I actually like that. And now the moment of truth. I wasn't sure. I'm still not sure how this is going to come out because of that color mixture and the coloring job I had to do on the mold. Oof, she flew out just so simple. Okay, look at my hands. That's from coloring the mold. So although it's there, it didn't stick. And guess what? My circles are not white like I wanted them to be. They got the pink. So I'm going to have to repaint those. After it goes back into the curing box, I will paint it and then I will seal it. And usually what happens when you seal Mix2Mold, the colors come out a little darker, a little more vibrant, but not a lot. I'm not happy with the way that turned out because I wanted the ovals to be white. And I think that maybe we would have gotten that if I had used the other color instead of the iridescent. I would have gotten that pearl white color. Lesson learned, lesson learned. So what I'll do is after they're done in their second trip in the curing box, I will color in the circles. Actually, I might seal it first and then paint the circles and then seal it for a second time, because the problem with Mix2Mold is if it is unsealed and you use a paint pen, a marker, whatever on it, if you make a mistake, that is it. It is stuck. It will stay there unless you scrape it off, and then you're ruining your piece. So the best thing to do is to seal it first and then do any painting that you want to do on there, and then seal it a second time. Okay, so these are going to go back in their little curing box. And we'll come back. Either I will show you my little paint job, which is probably not going to be any fun because I'm not good at it, or I might make the kid do it off camera. Either way, you will get final pictures. We will see you again next week. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but I'm sure we're going to have fun. Thanks for joining us in the game room. We'll see you again soon. Bye.